Hi guys, JT here, and with every Humble Monthly, the question is, what are the games like? Well, here's a bit of information on each game in this month's Humble Monthly to help you decide if it is for you. If you want to know more about game bundles, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Anyway, let's get into this. Starting out strong for 2023 is the featured game of this month, Doom Eternal. An FPS game that will have you shoot demons in the head and literally slice their skulls in front of your eyes in fast-paced action. Earth has been invaded by Hell's armies. Demons and monsters have destroyed much of Earth's cities and skyscrapers. You play as the Doom Slayer, and you need to fight and smash your way through demons across dimensions to stop the destruction of humanity. Compared to the 2016 game, Eternal is much bigger, faster, with plenty more story and lore. Even though Doom is not really known for its story, this entry brings the narrative to a whole new level. Gameplay-wise, Eternal is much faster and smoother. There's a lot of satisfaction in shooting your enemies with your arsenal weapons and watch as their bodies fall apart in front of you with every shot, before you go in for a glory kill and slice their heads off. There's more strategic thinking this time around instead of just mindlessly shooting and killing things. Some enemies will now have weak points that you need to destroy to make your life easier, like aiming for a turret on an enemy's head or blowing up a Mancubus' arm cannon before murdering them. Your arsenal has also been expanded with shoulder-mounted weapons like a flamethrower or a modifiable grenade launcher. Platforming is more of a focus this time around, with increased movement abilities like a shotgun that has a grappling hook on it, double jumping, directional dash, and climbing up tall structures. Exploration is highly rewarding, as you'll most likely find precious items that you can use to buy mods for your weapons, suit, and passive abilities, or even find various collectibles. Eternal ramps up the RPG elements of the Doom franchise by allowing for such explorations and upgrades. This game also features a central hub known as Fortress of Doom that is a bit like a man cave, where you can look at collectibles you've found, practicing murdering demons, or jumping into your next mission. Multiplayer is also really fun this time around, with the battle mode where two players play unique demons going up against another player, playing as a juiced-up Doom guy. Doom Eternal is very fun and challenging, as you jump and zip around the level, finding various secrets, and crushing demon skulls in high-speed action. And number 2 we have Tribes of Midgard, an actual role-playing survival game centered around Norse mythology and Ragnarok. You play as a hero sent from the heavens to defend the world tree Yggdrasil almost every night to prevent Ragnarok, the end of the world, while using daytime to gather resources to build up your defenses. During the daytime, you explore an open field filled with enemies and bandit camps, roam around and collect nodes with resources in them required to build your home-based defenses. While exploring the world, you'll be battling monsters. Combat is not complicated, but the simplicity feels welcome. Enemies range from run-of-the-mill goblins and wolves to bigger, more challenging enemies. Large camps will have mini-bosses who can crush you if you're not prepared. Every few days, a giant elemental creature called Jotun will spawn in and slowly make its way to the world tree to destroy it. These giants are a force to be reckoned with, as they can easily destroy everything you have built on your base if they manage to make it to your camp. If you manage to slay the giant beast, you'll be rewarded with a ton of souls, which can be used to level up your camp, to be able to buy higher tier gear, increase Yggdrasil's health bar, and build more defensive and resource structures. You can also lose souls when you die, so don't die! Some resources are hard to come by, so you have to also choose where you spend these resources wisely. Crafting a single weapon can also take multiple days of looting. If it all sounds a bit too stressful, because it is, you can bring 9 friends or strangers along on co-op multiplayer, so you can defend Yggdrasil together. With a group of players, you can delegate certain tasks and focus on efficiency. It does make enemies tougher, but it is infinitely more fun than playing alone. If you enjoy going through a task list with yourself or with friends, you'll most likely enjoy Tribes of Midgard. And number 3 we have Encased, a sci-fi post-apocalyptic RPG. In an alternate timeline of the 1970s, a mysterious dome is discovered, and it systematically ended the Cold War without any open conflict. The dome houses amazing technologies that allow humans to achieve great scientific progress, but controlling the dome is easier said than done. This is where you come in. This game seemed to be inspired by games like classic Fallout and Disco Elysium, as your decisions will form the basis of the gameplay. You play as a regular worker for Cronus, an organization founded to study the dome, and from the start, you're given plenty of choices to customize your character. In Encased, you get to explore the world at your own pace with plenty of looting to be done and people to talk to bargain with, and to murder. You're given as much freedom as possible, and it really feeds the hoarding mentality as you hoard everything you find. You battle in turn-based combat, and you will have access to a multitude of weapons, both ranged and melee. The overall battle system can feel a bit shallow, but it is mostly about finding a good weapon, sticking with it, and keeping track of your ammo. What's more annoying is sometimes combat is inevitable, even if you have high charisma. It would have been nice to convince a robot crab to return your leg that it torn off of you without fighting it, but you don't really have a choice in the matter apparently. Other than that, your character can get hungry, thirsty, irritated, distracted, or nauseated by a bad chow. Stealth mechanics also play an important role in this game, as being found out for committing a crime will mean having hunters sent after you. The world of Encased is huge, but unfortunately you'll find it quite empty. In saying that, this is the first game made by a small indie studio, and they were clearly inspired by late 90s RPG games. They do deliver an imperfect but good experience, and I look forward to their next project. And number 4 we have OlliOlli World Red Edition. A side-scrolling trick skating platformer game. In this game, you'll be skating a line down a side-scrolling course, building up your bag of tricks, chaining combos of manuals, grinds, wall rides as you look to finish the stage in style, racking up high scores and hunting down secondary objectives. You'll be skating across a multitude of environments like around cliffs, abandoned casinos, sludge factories, and massive ice cream cones. Even though this is a side-scroller, you'll not only be forever skating to the right, as you'll be shifting back and forth stages, looping around on themselves with corner pipe gaps, and destructible floors that open new routes when you come back to it next time. Exploring off-beaten paths can reward you with more fashion and unlock entirely new stages. The game starts out as quite easy and gets progressively harder as you skate across the levels and regions, introducing new elements to you as you go, with quite a few of the levels challenging your skateboarding abilities and demand that you perfectly string your combos together at breakneck speed. Completing the game unlocks Nirvana, where players battle it out to be the best in daily challenges or create and share randomly generated levels in a Nirvana portal. OlliOlli World is an amazing, surreal skateboarding paradise and a vibrant, rhythmic platformer played out on grind rails and half pipes. So if you love a challenging skateboarding game, this could be for you. And number 5 we have Grow, Song of the Evertree. A game where violence is not the answer. There's a life-giving tree that provided harmony to the inhabitants at its roots through the song. One day the song shattered and people could no longer hear it. The tree is also infested by the withering. Everybody fled apart from one alchemist, aka you, setting out to restore the Evertree to its former glory. This game has a few things going for it. You'll be gardening, city building, and exploring. You plant seeds to build the world that will provide you with resources to build regions of a town and attract villagers. You'll also have to find fragments of the song and return it to the Evertree's heart chamber to push back the withering and expand your town. This game does not confine you to do specific things, giving you the freedom to work on projects of your own. You could choose to spend the day maximizing a town's potential, or run quests to make the town happy, or to gain various rewards. The game is very well balanced, even with its various mechanics. Towns are highly customizable and gardens can turn into extremely interesting builds as you create seeds by mixing different alchemic elements together. You can get some weird stuff like a world with moving eyeballs everywhere as an example. Exploration has its own rewards with short dungeons to explore, coupled with puzzles and their own themes. You can also adopt creatures in the world and take selfies with them. There is some combat, although it is not at all complex. Hitting a blob thing with your hammer just causes them to dissolve instead of fighting back. Even though most characters do not have real depth to them, dialogue is still often enjoyable. Grow succeeds in its attempts at presenting a wholesome laid-back experience. It is akin to Animal Crossing, without the time gating. And number 6 we have Conan Chop Chop, a roguelike co-op beat-em-up. In this game you basically hit things with swords and bows. You'll be fighting your way through 4 different regions and defeating the boss of each region, then open a door to fight another boss. The story is very silly and not very good, but for a game like this, it is secondary to the gameplay. You can attack, dodge, block, parry, and perform a super move that is only usable once your rage meter is filled. You can play as 4 different characters, each with its own dodges, super moves, and upgrade trees. Over the course of the run, you'll pick up a variety of items to use. There are a few categories of items, with most of them increasing your stats in some way, scaling upwards as you keep playing. You also need to constantly change the weapons that you're using as they do degrade over time and become useless after a while. The weapons don't feel too different from one another though. Charms on the other hand can change up the gameplay with abilities like dropping a bomb whenever you dodge or applying poison to your weapons. Combat is fun, but playing this game alone can feel a bit of a slog. Playing with friends makes this game infinitely more fun as the chaos on screen ensues. The bosses can be very challenging if you do not have good gear by the time you reach them. But even if you do, they aren't too exciting to fight and they can feel more like damage sponges. What's even worse is the final boss actually forces you to fight all 4 of them again before facing off against the main baddie. There are better roguelikes out there than Conan Chop Chop, but if you want to try it anyway, I'll recommend it being played cooperatively with a friend. And number 7 we have Hokko Life, a life and farming simulator game. You arrive at the village of Hokko, and it is now up to you to build a life there, among its cute animal humanoid society. I'm sure you were kidnapped by these cute animals though. Anyway, you can put your ideas into action, decorating the place with various items, wearing fashionable clothing, and introducing or kicking residents to and out of the village. This is definitely a relaxing game as the character is a bit of a pacifist. The game gives you the freedom to build your life and complete various quests for the animal villagers. You can even choose to do nothing and skip days by sleeping in bed. Sleeping advances time and thus advancing specific quests, restocking local resources, and allows for a new stock in shops. Besides the community hub, stores, real estate, and fashion centers, you can farm and craft your very own furniture. Creating your own designs can unlock new abilities through a medal system, but if you can't be bothered, you can always buy them from shops or from other players. There's also a skill tree for you to develop as you perform actions more frequently and source more items. You'll not only improve your abilities, but also unlock new items like emotes and upgraded gear. The game's real focus though is the community building, constructing new homes, encouraging people to move into the town, and customizing everything from your look to building and furnishing, all the way to choosing who you want to live with you. Hokko Life is an awesome alternative if you've been jealous of that friend who plays Animal Crossing on Switch. And number 8 we have The Serpent Rogue, a botanical action-adventure game. You play as a plague doctor, and you're dropped into a dark and depressing world. There's minimal hand-holding as the game expects you to learn as you go. You'll travel across a huge world, discovering new flora and fauna, learning what you can do with them, and getting to know their properties. The main aim of the game is to craft a ton of different potions with what you have discovered in the world and fight for your life. Inventory management is crucial in this game. Once you set your base up and go out on adventures, you can choose to bring a crafting table along, so you can craft potions anywhere. But it will be too heavy for you, and believe me, you don't want your bag to be too heavy in this game. When it comes to crafting, you're expected to experiment with the different plants that you find. Some add bonuses, some remove negatives, and others enhance everything. With time, you'll learn how to make the best potions. You're a doctor, not a fighter, so combat is a bit alien to you, and your sluggish and heavy movements reflect that. This means that you may be able to take on enemies one-on-one, but when there are multiple enemies, you better find a way to escape, or they'll eat your plague doctor brain. This game may look cute, but the universe is dark, depressing, and unforgiving. If you like collecting things and experimenting with various combinations to create mysterious potions, this may be up your alley. It'll take a while to understand mechanics in the world, but if you stick with it, you may just find the slow burn worth your time. This month's Humble Monthly is definitely carried by Doom Eternal, and for that game alone, it is worth it. Otherwise, there's a good mix of indie games available with some hidden gems like the Animal Crossing alternatives. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.